Mai KΑKOU, aloha. Hey, it's nice to see a filled room, packed room. Thank you so much for being here this evening. At this time, we're going to invite up all of our guest speakers and panelists for this evening. Let us welcome all of our panelists as they make their way to the stage. There we go. And they'll introduce themselves as well, but we got Senator BRENTON AWA, Minority Leader in the State Senate, Senator Tim Richards, Chair of the HAWAIIAN Affairs Committee, Senator SAMANTHA DECORTE, Minority Floor Leader, Director Mike LAMBERT, DOE Director, Director Ed SNIFFEN, Department of Transportation. Again, thank you so much for being here. To begin, let's start with what matters most. So at this time, I'm going to invite up Pastor Jadine Tuine of Ark of Safety Christian Fellowship to open us up with our opening prayer.
Aloha, everyone, and thank you for coming to Ark of Safety Community Center. It's a privilege for us to have each and every one of you here tonight on behalf of Samantha and all that's taking place. How many of you are looking forward to a good night tonight? We're just grateful that we can say a prayer and invite the presence of God and the peace of God upon this place as we come together in one mind and one accord. For I like to say, for our community of Wai'anae, how many of you know that good things and great things come out of Wai'anae? So at this time, we're going to go ahead and pray tonight. We're going to ask God's blessings upon tonight. If it's okay with all of you, let's close our eyes and bow our heads tonight. Father God, we thank you. We thank you for the privilege and the opportunity that we, the people of the Wai'anae Coast, could come together, and state of Hawaii can come together, Father, to talk and to share ideas, Father God, of how you want us to run this state. Father, I ask you to bless our meeting tonight. I thank you for your peace. I thank you for your hedge of protection upon this place. And I thank you, Father, for favor upon the Wai'anae Coast and the state of Hawaii. Father, we thank you again for a good night, Lord. I thank you again for success that comes out of this meeting. We give you the highest praise. In Jesus' name we pray, and everyone say, amen. God bless all of you.
Mahalo, Pastor Jadine. Well, thank you again for being here. We're here because Senator Samantha DECORTE, our state senator on the Wai'anae Coast, has invited us here this evening. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you, Senator, for having this event. I'm going to turn it over now to Senator DECORTE as she'll go over the ground rules for this evening.
Let's go 96792. How you feeling out there? Yeah? All right. Hey, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. You know, it's a Tuesday night. Everybody is either coming from work, from school, or from sports. You know, so you guys made the time to come here. So I really appreciate it. You know, it really is my priority as soon as I got elected to make sure that the voice of Wai'anae is heard loud and clear. And the best way that I can do that is by bringing the state leaders here in the heart of Wai'anae, in a pillar of Wai'anae, which is Ark of Safety, that has been so instrumental in the families, in the youth. You know, Pastors Jay and Jerry, Amina, and Pastor Jadine and Mark, they have been such strong advocates here on the Wai'anae Coast to not just rescue a generation who might be going down the wrong path, but also to strengthen marriages and strengthen families. So when I was deciding on where I was going to have my town hall, I could not think of a better place but in a house that really is a sanctuary for our community. People come here because they need healing, they need restoration. This truly is a targeted location for our community members to come as a place of resting and healing and unity. So I'm expecting that same atmosphere to take place today. I brought the best of the best out here. Like, we don't hold nothing back. Like, Wai'anae, we want the best. So that's why I'm going to introduce, you know, starting from my right, because I'm bringing out the hammers, okay? We don't like the assistants. We don't like the reps. We don't like the person who answers the phones. We like the guy here. So I'm going to start first and foremost with Director Ed SNIFFEN of the Department of Transportation. Let's give him a round of applause. Hey, you know, this guy, I gotta say, he's been about it from day one. As soon as he got that directorship, it was about opening Pa'akea Road. It was about opening Kole Kole Pass. It was about making sure that Wai'anae gets a traffic relief that we need, whether that's opening up another access road, opening up another exit or entry point, or opening up our access roads. So Ed has been one that I've been able to collaborate. I mean, this guy actually answers my phone. Can you believe some state leaders don't answer my call? But they're not in this realm. It's Ed. All these people up here, they all answer my call. So thank you, Ed, very much for being here. I'm going to take it over to here, Director Mike Lambert, Department of Law Enforcement. Come on, we can do better than that. Department of Law Enforcement. Okay, let me brag about this guy for a second. This guy came from HPD Narcotics, okay? I mean, I know he don't look like much, right? I know he's not all muscular and buff and all that kind of stuff, but I tell you, man, the guys who run the game house is scared of this guy. The guys who are dealing dopes to your kids is scared of this guy right here because he pulls no punches. He's not about the soft approach. Okay, this might be airing live, but I'm only going to tell this to us because we're in the room. Don't air this part, Olelo. But this guy doesn't care about liability. If he gonna crack down on crime, he gonna crack down on crime. Because at the end of the day, he understands his power and his authority and his ability to make sure that Wai'anae feels safe. No more we gotta be afraid to go put gas at night or, go buy grocery stores at Sack and Save and Tamora's. But, this guy has been really pivotal in making sure that not only do we bring legislation here to Wai'anae, but we bring resources and we bring manpower. So I want to give it up one more time for Mike Lambert. I know you can't see the resemblance, but this is my brother over here from Big Island, Hawaii, Waimea, Senator Tim Richards. I mean, he's just been so awesome. I sit on the committee of Hawaiian Affairs that he chairs, and I tell you, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I can be pretty feisty, right? In committee, I can turn up the heat a little bit. I mean, it's in the KΑKOU that we have. I cannot help it. It's my ancestors, right? And this guy brings a really good balance. But what I do want to say about Senator Tim Richards is that he's a man who keeps his word. He is a man who will not bring you in a room. Go ahead. Yeah, no, clap for that. Clap for that. Because he's not like other politicians that are not here tonight that will just tell you what you want to hear, sensationalize you and pander you. And then as soon as you're off the door, it's like, okay, moving on to other things, right? This guy, if he gives you his word is bond. So that's why I'm super honored to have Senator Tim Richards because Wai'anae 96792 currently is the largest Native Hawaiian homestead population in the state of Hawaii. Come on, you guys got to clap for that. Come on. So it was very important to Senator Richards that he hear the voice of our Hui. Sometimes when we're in committee, I'm over there, I'm like, just gassing them, right? Giving them. You guys watch my social media, right? But then it's important that Senator Richards, that he hears it for himself. That it's not just Sam ranting again. Like, I know that I have an army behind me, so I want to ensure that we're able to have our voices being heard. And a man that needs no introduction, Senator Brenton Awa from District 23. The guy is about it. Right? So this is my former mentor, the guy who really taught me about ethics, about values, about being grounded, about having good character, about not compromising, because even though you don't think you're compromising, sometimes an innocent decision or an innocent handshake or an innocent phone call or an innocent meeting can actually obligate you to your vote. So I'm so thankful that Senator Awa holds the values that our minority caucus stands by today to ensure that we don't sell our people out for white envelopes, for new developments, for people that want to come and mine our deep seas, to make sure that Hawaiians actually get their homes and they're not being put on the side because people care more about their developer friends than they do the actual native Hawaiians. So let's give it up for Senator Brenton Awa. Very good. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to do things a little unconventional today. We're going to have our Q&A session. You folks are here because there's some things you got to get off your chest, right? You got to get some things off your chest or what? No need. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because if there's anything about Wai'anae we know, we have a lot to say. Right? We got a lot to say. So it's super important that we're able to make sure that we get to your concerns ASAP. So a part of doing that is making sure that we skip through the presentations. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Mike. That we skip through the presentations and we get straight to your questions and your concerns. But before I do that, I also want to acknowledge some very key leaders that are also here in this room, because some of us may not have a question about transportation, about Hawaiian affairs. Maybe you have a question about education. So I'm so honored to have here tonight the Department of Education. If you wouldn't mind standing, we have our Complex Area Superintendent, Disa Hagi. Let's give her a round of applause. We have Deputy Superintendent Heidi Armstrong. Heidi knows the Wai'anae Coast very well. She's so awesome. She comes out here all the time. And then we have also Audrey Hidano, if you wouldn't mind standing. This woman has been able to help us with our facilities. I mean, she always answers my call. Audrey, you're the best. You're the best. Also, we have Office of Hawaiian Affairs. If we could introduce, if you could stand, Trustee Kale Kaka. She is our OHA representative. Yeah. We always see her at our neighborhood board. She's always here. She's always present, which is very important to us here on the Wai'anae Coast. Then we have CEO of OHA, Stacy Ferreira. Yeah, you know, once she got into the position, she made it a point to make sure that she listens to the voices of the 96792. Again, being the largest Native Hawaiian homestead population, it's important that we position our leaders to face our way to make sure that we get the appropriation and the resources that Wai'anae needs. All right. Okay, so let me pass it over to Haima. If you wouldn't mind standing, Don, and where's your team? Don Aviao and his team is back there. Yes, so Don represents the HEMA, was it? Hawaii Emergency Management. You know what, too complicated. You guys got to change your name. You just got to change your name. That's it. That's all. Too much, you know? Okay, hey, thank you so much for being here. Also, we have Ele Payo, who is one of our strongest supporters over here. We have Alicia, Nikki, we have Jesse, we have their crew here. Very important. I really want to highlight the presence of the Army being here. We know here on the Wai'anae Coast that there's lots of actions going on military land. First and foremost, Makua's lease is ending in 2029. We need to make sure that that lease ends. We need to make sure that when the lease is returned, that they clean it up. So there's a lot of passionate conversations, I can say, that we're starting to have with the Army, but they're here for it. So if I can just introduce Colonel Rachel Sullivan and her staffer, if you wouldn't mind standing. She's so excited. Yes, she loves being here. And then also, this one I gotta hype this. Oh, there you are, Sharon. And then we have Department of Agriculture. Yes, please, Sharon Hurd, if you wouldn't mind standing up. She's been so helpful with us, with agriculture here. And she always takes my cause too. You're the best. Thank you. And then also our state representative, Chris Muraoka. Yeah, you know, he loves the spotlight, yeah? He goes, Sam, he goes, I can sit in the back. I go, no, you ain't. You're sitting in the front. We already have reserve. We have reserved for you. But, you know, Chris is somebody who is not about the show. He's about the goal. And it's important that we know that when we elected him in office, he is somebody that is going to be boots on the ground. So when we had our fires, when we had our tsunamis, I mean, this guy comes with machines. You know, I knock on your door. I don't know how to drive big machines. So I come knock on your door. Hey, auntie, okay? Okay, good. Brado over here coming, bulldozing fire breaks over here. So, you know, he really represents the heart of Wai'anae, and I'm so honored to team up with him. So thank you, brother, for everything. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to get straight into the Q&A. What you think?
Let's
Ed,
go.
you good, Ed? Yeah? Okay, all right. Okay, guys, so we are going to be doing a few things. When you come up to the microphone, Representative Garcia is going to give some instructions, but we're going to put a timer. So when you go up and you ask your question, make sure you stay within the time. And when you're done, then you're going to exit stage left. If you have another question, you can come back and stand in line, because it's very important that everybody's voices are being heard. And we want to make sure we give everybody equal time. So Representative Garcia is going to be here to usher along the time and make sure that we get all the questions that were being asked. Also, you see a QR code on your screen. If you don't want to go to the microphone and ask your question, please go ahead and submit your question. I have my team in the back room that is printing out your questions in real time. So if you want to go ahead and put that through online, you can do that as well. So are you guys ready for the Q&A or what? I don't know, Tim. Do you think they're ready? Okay, all right, let's do it. Go ahead, Diamond.
All right, here we go. So again, if you do have a question, Senator DeCorte, they can line up at this microphone in the center, right? Okay, all right, just feel free to line up at this center microphone if you do have a question. But to kick us off, I'm gonna go to one of our questions which were submitted via, oh yes, the kupuna. Where is the kupuna? Kupuna's first. Any kupuna have a question?
Sorry, if you are kupuna in here, age 65 and older, we want to give you the opportunity to line up for the microphone first.
That's right.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Or, oh no, Malia will walk to you. Malia will walk to you. So if you are kupuna, if you want to line up first, you can. If you want to raise your hand, Malia will be there. And then if not, you can go ahead and line up right over here in the middle aisle as well.
Uncle James Cowell, you gonna go? Oh, we got one more and then we'll come to you. There we go.
Yeah, I'm Ross Guthrie from Makaha. This is for Director Sniffen. You know, just recently there was some confusion over the rerouting of the Sea Country Express, and somehow or another the 40 got involved in all of that. Maybe you could clarify. You know, and there was a lot of conversation about, oh no, they're going to change the routes to encourage people to ride the rail and things like that. And I don't think that's the story, but maybe you could clarify that a little.
Yeah, so I'll say that I'll try to answer this, but this is a city question. The city runs the transit for the island. Their whole intent is to make sure that they run a hub and spoke. So the intent was not to change yet, was to look at what the changes are going to look like in the future. So what I'll do is I'll take it back. I'll make sure that I get a clarification from the city on how they're going to be running the express through until the time that rail starts running from that portion. Then I'll get back to Senator DeCorte.
All right, Uncle James Cowell, go ahead.
Good evening, Director Sniffen. It's a long time no see. My name is James Cowles. Everybody knows. I'm on the Nanakuli Maile Neighborhood Board. I'm also the Moku Kupuna Council and VFW Post 849. But I have a question for you. I've been trying for a long time. I live St. John's Road, right down the road from Maile Elementary School. I've been trying to get speed humps or speed bumps on that road for a long time and nobody listens. We get people that fly down that road like they're driving on a freeway. And we get kids walking on the side of the road. And the people that drive down through there, they don't care. What I want to do is try and get some speed bumps put on that street. We got speed bumps on Ku'alaupuni. Alex, on my street, St. John's. I live right down the road, about 5 lots away from Maile Elementary School. And I'm surprised. I lived there almost 15 years. I'm surprised no kiki has been hit yet. Even school buses fly down that road. I yelled at one bus driver to slow down. She stopped right in front of me, opened the door, and gave me the finger. Stuck her finger at me. I said, what kind of ethic is that? You're trying to show the kids that you're transporting. But I want to get speed bumps put in there. And all my neighbors all stand out there yelling at everybody to slow down. We even had guys that stop in the middle of the road and want to fight with us because we tell them to slow down. They think it's the freeway. The speed limit is supposed to be 20 miles an hour. They go way beyond that. I'm trying to find a solution to try and slow these people down on our street.
Yeah, so speed humps is the best thing. Love speed humps. That's why you see them on Farrington Highway quite a ways. Hey, let me ask though, and I asked this before and Kristen remembers, how many people have gone over the speed humps so far? I mean, everybody should be raising their hand. I get like 270 across the state, so you must all see them. How many people like them? None of them. Yeah, how many people don't like them? I really don't care. I really don't care. I will tell you, I don't give a shit because overall, I'll tell you, there is no other way for me to slow people down so that people don't die. That's it. So to your question, love speed humps. I need the jurisdiction to do it. St. John's Road is a city road. The best way to do it is work with your legislators to make a request to the city and copy me. because we've been putting in the speed humps for the counties in different areas. Right now, we're working with Diamond on Kamokila Boulevard as well to make sure we try and get them over there. So in these different areas where it's a city road, you don't have to worry if it's city or state. Just let your legislator know. We'll work with the city on it. If they cannot do it fast enough, we'll take care of it. Yeah, it's better to go through your state representative and your senator, and that request goes to the city, and they'll copy the council member in that district. You'll get a lot more results faster.
Mahalo, Director Sniffen. Our next kupuna, please state your question.
My name is Michael Pia. I just want to honor my son, SB 1249, that was passed, signed by the governor. And I really want to thank the committee, senators, and we spent a lot of time at the Capitol. And by all means, I had learned a lot from that. And I just want to say, I don't think any of your parents wants to go through what I have gone through, my wife, my ex-wife and I, but it was very, very hard. Let me tell you, hard. And I want to double thank you, mahalo for everything. And hopefully with this bill, and we can see some action and some of the people put away, the bad people. Thank you.
I'll make a quick comment on that. SB 1249, Senate Bill 1249, is now Duke's Law. That's the bill that came across the governor's desk. And when we started out, we didn't know exactly how this was going to happen. It was a combination of 4 bills. I met with the family just days after that tragedy happened. And I gave my word I would not let it go and we'd make something happen. And today we have a pilot project. We have Director Lambert here. We're rolling this out, and this is all, we're not going to let Duke's memory go, because this galvanized us to do something different, set up agriculture for success. So I appreciate the words of thought, but my colleagues helped me get it across the finish line. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And thank you, Uncle. We appreciate that. Our next kupuna. All right. Is that it for our kupuna? Are there any other kupuna here who has a question? And okay, yep, over here. You can state your name, Auntie, and then ask your question.
My name is Roberta Lehulu Searle. I'm hail from the Nanakulimoku, from the Wai'anae family. My question, I have a farm here on the Wai'anae Coast. My question has to do with Act 236, and that is directed to Senators Awa and Senator Samantha DeCoRte. So I read this bill, not in its totality, and I am very concerned over the fact that it has a broad biosecurity emergency without oversight, that there are things written in this bill that will invade my privacy. It conflicts with the 4th Amendment, the 5th Amendment, the 14th Amendment of due process. It is a tyrannical bill, I believe. I just saw a podcast that featured Harriet Hagman, who is the U.S. representative in Congress. And she owns a farm, and there were some bills that were introduced into Congress. And it was a bill that would allow the federal government, the state government, to interfere with the production of their products, whether it be livestock or whether it be agriculture. And they have full authority to go onto your property and do whatever they want. under the guise of biosecurity. There's no real guidelines because in the bill it states certain things, but it also has a broad spectrum of other. And we don't know what other means. They can produce that. Whatever they choose to do, they can do that, and they can take your property away.
Thank you, Senator Awa, or Senator Richards, or Senator DeCorte.
I'll start. So I understand your concern. I supported the bill because of the biosecurity side. I am from agriculture. I came into government because of agriculture. I was recruited by agriculture. I'm also a veterinarian, so I deeply understand the problems, the invasiveness of some of our pests, and also some of the concerns. I don't disagree that you have your concerns about the invasion of your privacy and your ability to produce going forward. But on the other side of that, we have invasive species that if we don't get our arms around them very, very quickly, they take off. Look at the coconut rhinoceros beetle. Actually, it's statewide now, what they call the fireweed, Senecio madagascaris. If we don't get our arms around those things very, very quickly, that's the problem. Now, I don't think any bill that we pass is perfect. It has problems we have to go back and fix. If you have a specific concern on this, because this involves agriculture, it also involves freedoms, I am very willing to go back and work on it. Even Duke's Law that we're talking about, we got that through because we needed it, but we need to tweak some more on that. So there may be something we need to address, and I'm very, very happy to work on that.
Thank you, Senator Richards. Anyone else want to address this question? All right. Thank you, Auntie. That was a great question. Thank you. Okay. Any other kupuna? Any other kupuna who has a question? Yep. Okay. We got Uncle Calvin Endo. Go ahead.
Calvin Endo on Wai'anae Neighborhood Board. I wasn't going to say anything, but Ed, you know when they mentioned the speed bumps? I got another solution. I was in Anaheim. They have these storm dips in the road. I think two purposes. When the heavy rains come, it flows, but you have to slow down. So it's something you might want to look at. Traffic dips.
Yeah, so we looked at those. When we start putting in dips in areas where we already have a road, we got to change the road bed, right? So when we build new roads, we can use the dips. In existing roads, we put on the humps.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Uncle. Anyone else? Any other kupuna? Yes, Blanca Larson.
Muchas gracias. Mahalo, mahalo, senators, all of you guys for coming all the way from across the island. My name is Blanca Larson, and I am the Republican. My name is Blanca Larson, and I am the Republican Party District Chair. And I have a question. This bill, the Act 236, is already a law. I didn't even know that this was a law. So I feel this was rushed. So my question to you is there anything I can do as a concerned citizen to reverse this law? Because it just came a law already. So will appeal help? And what will it take to do an appeal? How much will it cost? Will the people in here have to be involved? My concern is that I feel that we were not involved. I didn't even know this law until 2 weeks ago. Mahalo. Ayo.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Thank
Senator
you.
DeCorte.
Thank you, Blanca. I just want to jump in and echo what Senator Richard had said. There's definitely some areas of this bill that we have to make some tweaks to. So I don't want to repeat what it is that he said, but I definitely know that we on this panel would agree that there are some tweaks that need to be made with that bill. So I know as far as me and representing the 96792, that I will advocate to have that looked into. But if you're not from 96792, get in touch with your state senator. Let them know, because now is the time that we're starting to make these preparations for next legislative session. So, okay.
Thank you. All right. Any other kupuna? If you have a question, just raise your hand and Malia will bring you the mic. Going once. Any other kupuna? Going twice. Any other kupuna? Going 3 times. Okay, I think we're going to open it up now for questions. To kick us off, I'm going to ask one of the questions which was submitted through the QR code. So one of those questions submitted here this evening is, question, if committing a crime is illegal and punishable by law, why are there 0 consequences for people living in parks and government areas in no trespassing areas? I'm going to punt this over to Director Lambert.
So it's one of those where it depends on what the actual offense is. So I know there's a lot of frustration as it comes to homelessness and when it comes to general theft. But the issue is that it's up to the judges. So I think, for example, when I was at Honolulu Police Department, they'll execute about 20,000 arrests per year. But after that, it goes into the legal process. So the end result is determined on the offense itself. So for example, trespassing, depending on the situation, is either a petty misdemeanor or a misdemeanor. If it's a petty misdemeanor, you can only put somebody in jail for 30 days. And because of the way that the justice system works here, they typically go much less than that. If it's a full misdemeanor, you only have up to a year. And same thing, they predominantly just give probation for that. So it's a very frustrating thing. Something that I'm going to try to look for or try to introduce this year is a habitual habitation law, which basically means that if you are constantly caught up doing these things that, unfortunately occur when you're homeless, and we're not trying to be mean to anyone, but we definitely want to retake areas that are meant for public. In other words, on my way here, obvious, right? That park is no longer open to the public. It's been overrun. I can see if you live in that area and you still enjoy that beach, it's very frustrating. But the only way we can do that is to try to look at habitual laws, which we don't have as it pertains to that type of habitation.
Thank you so much, Director. All right, our next question. We have Kate?
Yes, okay. Hello, my KΑKOU, everybody. Great to see all of here. Obviously, you already got my email, seen on social media. I'm concerned about human trafficking, drug smuggling. Before you guys passed off to Mike Lambert, I don't want to put him on pressure. I called Doe today because I reported U.S. Marshal Justin Davis, organ harvesting human children. What's my 18 and under for $500,000 a kidney. Now, the Department of Law Enforcement, Kerry, called me back today from Criminal Investigation Department and said they don't handle that kind of stuff. I know you guys are state, but this is a federal level. So what can you guys do to help us combat human trafficking, drug smuggling on the level?
All right, thank you for the question, Director Lambert.
So currently the Department of Law Enforcement doesn't have a unit specifically for human trafficking, just like the counties have. So what will happen is the closest that we have at the state level is the ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children. That's actually a function of the Attorney General's office. There has been discussions of perhaps the DLE absorbing that, at which point we would be more involved. And I think that prior to coming over to the state, I was the city narco major. And I think many of you guys have heard that when I talk about human trafficking, particularly with minors, I think it's the most egregious offense right up there with murder. So, I have no sympathy for it, but unfortunately under our current structure, we do not directly participate. However, if we can take complaints and make those connections for Homeland Security investigations, which do human trafficking, as well as our FBI, depending on what the circumstances are.
All right, thank you, Director. Thank you for the question. All right, next question.
Aloha. Thank you for being here to address our concerns. I also am going to go ahead and piggyback on that Act 236. I have concerns also as a concerned citizen. We're not doubting whether there's invasive species. The problem that we have, and I think I can speak for some of the other people, is the absolute power that Governor Green has given himself. It's a power grab, and I think we in this state, of any state, should know better than to give the government the power to take land. Like, what are we doing? So if someone could please explain to us how he pulled off this type of a power grab, that's the issue of concern. It seems like some of us were caught off guard, where it looks like he's stripping away our rights, giving himself this level of ultimate power. So we just want to know what we can do. I mean, we're here, we're your volunteer army, use us. Our position is a position of freedom. That's the righteous one. We don't move back from that. They should move back. They should be the one backing down from their position. So once they've gotten this level of power, what's the ideas to go ahead and get them to give some of that up? Because that seems like a very uphill battle. So that's what we want to know is how do we work together, get the power back to the people, which is where it belongs. Mahalo.
Thank you for the question, Senator DeCorte.
Thank you. I'm actually going to thank you for that question. Just as a show of hands, how many people are here for Act 236 with the biosecurity? Just let me just see a show of hands. Okay. Okay, very good. You know what? I'm actually going to ask Sharon Hurd, if you wouldn't mind responding to this. We'll bring the microphone to you. Sharon is the director of the Department of Agriculture. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Senator. We've heard about the concerns on Act 236, and it's not that there's not a process. It's as though, in fact, right now, if somebody says, hey, on Director Hurd's property, I know she's got, let's use a snake. I know she has a snake. And I'll say, I don't have a snake. But then they say, I've seen it. So that allows the law enforcement, that allows that person to go to court and say, I need a court order to get on that property because we know. And it's a very dangerous thing. So there's a process right now for law to come onto my property and check if I have a snake or not. And that's for public health and safety. Okay? Switch that over to invasive species. And there's a process. If someone does not want to give us access, it happened on Maui. Someone says, nope, I'm an organic person. I don't want anybody else over here on my property. I don't want any pesticides. I live a pure life, okay? We were able to go get a court order, go on property, and that person they had a little fire ant, I believe. So we were able to clean it up and leave. That's the nature of the emergency court order. Now, if there's a person that has egregious and they cause public health and safety and we need to take their property, that could happen as well, but it's such a long process. I don't envision it to happen, but it could. That happens today. It doesn't have to be invasive species. It can be drugs, can be theft. There's a way that there's a process for the government to public health and safety repay the victims by taking things away from the people that are doing bad. Okay, there's a process now. Act 236 did not do anything that's not already in process. We're not going to go and take your property. That's not what we do. Public health and safety, we're going to take action to keep you safe. Okay, but it's a long process. And it's been misrepresentative, and I'm sorry for that. And in fact, I'm sitting at my chair, and I just wrote in a text message to my staff. We got to do a news release on this. We've had 3 questions already on Act 236. So we're going to do a news release, explain ourselves better. And I appreciate the answer. If it needs to be tweaked, let's tweak it, right? Okay, thanks, Senator.
Thank you so much, Director. All right, I have a question that was submitted via QR code. I'm going to go to this one here. Question: what specific efforts is OHA, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, making to unite OHA and DHHL, the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, to improve the conditions of Native Hawaiians where federal fundings has been slashed? Anyone on the panel want to, Senator DeCorte?
You know, we have OHA in
we
the
have
house,
OHA
so
here.
I think,
That's right.
We'll go ahead and direct that to them. So go ahead. Who wants to take that? All right, let's give it for Stacey Ferreira.
Aloha. Mahalo for the question. So there's several things that we're already doing with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. And some of the things are probably lesser known. And one of those is that OHA actually gave $90 million to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands for infrastructure. So many of the Hawaiian homesteads that are currently being built out today across the Wai'anae are infrastructure projects that OHA is actually funding. And so towards that loan, towards that debt service for DHHL, we provide them $6 million annually. Right? And so there's lots of things that are being put in terms of infrastructure, whether that's sewer lines, electrical, roadways, various things to ensure that homes can be built on the various homesteads. Some of the things that we're doing with Chair Watson now is we're looking at KΑKOU, and is there an opportunity for us to reimagine residential on those lands as well? So one of the things that we have in our current budget is a hydrologist. And the reason that a hydrologist was brought on is because OHA has taken the issue of water diversion on Hawaiian homelands very seriously. And I'll give you an example. In Anahola, right now, from Mauka to Makai, no water flows. And there is no homesteads, no pastoral homesteads that are being built because there is no potable water, there's no water for agriculture down Makai, and there's a sand plug right now down by the beach. And what's happening is because there's no water flow, the coral reefs are dying and no limu is growing. So they're having to cultivate that manually. And we say aole to that. That's not right. And the plantations have these leftover diversions that we need to go in and we need to figure out how to reconstruct our waterways so the natural flow of water can occur. But we need a hydrologist to help us do that. And so while Hawaiian Homelands is looking at all of these various projects, because they have a timeline. They have $600 million that they had to spend, and these guys are holding them to task for that. So there are things that OHA can do. So we can look at the things that are going to take a little bit longer, and that's okay. So we can put resources towards those kinds of projects like water diversion so that we can get our homesteaders on Aina. The other thing that we're talking with Director Hurd is about Kealapu'u Reservoir on Molokai and getting water to Ho'olehua homesteaders. So even though OHA may not be building the homes, we are looking at projects and putting resources in places where we can get the Aina freed up so that we can get infrastructure like water, the basics, right? So our homesteaders can get their homes up and running. We also have a grant program right now in Maui County. And so what we're doing is we're getting contractors certified with DHHL so that they can fly over to Molokai to those homesteaders who want to build their own homes so that they don't have to wait. But DHHL has requirements to be a contractor to be able to build on homestead lands. So we are actually paying for those contractors to get certified so that they can go over to Molokai and help those homesteaders build. So there's various projects, and it may not be as obvious as actual homes that are being built, but we are trying and we are doing our best to really get behind Hawaiian homes so that we can get homesteaders on Aina, and we're not going to stop. So mahalo for continuing to support us and just believing in us that we're going to continue to do the right thing. And it may not be on the front page, and it may not be the sexy projects, but we are getting the job done behind the scenes. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo, CEO Stacey Ferreira of OHA. Thank you so much. All right, our next question. Okay, we're going to go to Rep. Chris Morooka. Go ahead, Representative.
Hi. Hi, everybody. So I just wanted to piggyback off of OHA. I didn't realize you guys did that much. So this is a question I've asked to DHHL. Maybe I can ask to you, DHHL. I talk a little bit different. I don't talk politics. I talk straight. Yeah, we're dreaming at the 10,000-foot level. But what about the boarded up houses? We have several hundred right here in Wai'anae Nanakule homesteads. How about reopening those houses for people on the list? Get them in quicker. That's real life tactics that we can fix.
Want to respond, Stacey?
Mahalo. So one of the other budget items that our Board of Trustees approved for our biennium was a home repair budget. And so this fiscal year, it's a pilot. So we're starting off about $250,000, but we're going to continue to grow that. And it's to look at homes on the homesteads that we can get repairs done. So one, our kupuna can age in place. I think that's really important. And looking at health and safety. So where those homes that are boarded up because either no more windows anymore, or the roofs are falling in, or big holes in the floor. So people are having to be, cannot even get out to go to doctor's appointments because they don't have a ramp. So OHA has put money into our budget so that we can make those kinds of health and safety repairs funding available to our homesteaders, because we want our homesteads to be safe and we want them to be healthy, and we want our kupuna and our keiki to be able to thrive in the homes that they have. And there's also in the front, if you didn't grab one of our flyers, we also have an emergency fund. And so those emergency funds are not just for homesteaders, but for all beneficiaries. And that is to help with medical costs. If you need repairs on your cars, if you need funeral costs, assistance, there's lots of different ways that OHA can also help just beneficiaries in general, not just our homesteaders. Mahalo.
I just want to add really quick since we're on that topic. Thank you, OHA, for just appropriating funds to DHHL to repair homes. I also want to mention, this is very important, that DHHL is also getting NAHASDA funds. Those are federal funds that are specifically there to help homesteaders fix and repair their homes. That money is for down payments for homesteaders and waitlisters to put down to purchase their homes. So there's a lot of money that's being put into this bucket to help beneficiaries. So I just want to pitch this out here. If you are a current beneficiary and you are living in a home that needs repair and you are not getting the support you need from DHHL, please email my office, please call my office, because we want to work with DHHL to make sure that our homesteads are livable, they're decent, they're safe, and we can actually pass them on to our next generation. Okay, thank you.
Mahalo, Senator. All right, our next question to the microphone.
Got it? Okay. Hi, guys. Aloha mai kākou o kalehua makanoi ko inoa. I live in Makaha, and I have a really loaded question. And it's for anybody and everybody that can answer it. All right. The rising federal tariffs that are driving up the cost of living here, food, housing, essentials, all becoming more expensive right now for Hawaii families. At the same time, Medicaid cuts are coming for our health care and for our critical mental health services that many of our homeless and many of all of us use, especially here in Wai'anae. Without these supports, more people will risk losing stable housing and spiraling into a crisis, which often leads to the increased crime in our communities. How will you break this dangerous cycle of poverty, homelessness, mental health decline, and rising crime that threatens the safety and well-being of the Hawaii residents in Wai'anae?
Okay, thank you for the question. So just to recap, tariffs increase the cost of living and the impact on crime in West Oahu. Go ahead, Senator.
Some of you may know that in June, myself, Senator Awa, and Representative Diamond Garcia went up to DC to meet with federal leaders to find out really what is happening to those federal dollars and how is it affecting us here in Wai'anae. I will say that we did meet with Department of Health, and Department of Health did say that let me see, those that don't qualify anymore for Medicaid, is that what it is? I'm not sure. Yes, I apologize. So those that no longer qualify for Medicare are no longer able to keep the Medicaid. And e kalamai for not being as easy flowing to this response. I rarely follow what's happening on a federal level. I am mainly prioritizing and focused on the issues that are happening here in Wai'anae on a state level, because that's actually what I have influence and what I have authority over. So if my response is coming out in a slow kind of trickling down way, I apologize about that. But yeah.
Senator Awa?
Real quick, if you can, because there was a lot in that question. If you can rephrase and I can answer,
I didn't know if
one part of it, but go ahead one more time.
Okay.
Just what do you want to know out of all of that?
So the tariffs are raising prices. There's no end in sight. We already know that we pay these tariffs, and the prices are going up. SNAP is going to be taken away. Wages are not going up. All of this is going to land on us. Every single person in this place is one paycheck away from being homeless. All of us is one mortgage short from being homeless. None of you has said anything since this all started. My youngest son has special needs. His class got cut in Makaha. None of you said anything since this started. And I have been calling you out on Instagram. I've been telling you guys to speak up. Talk for us. You live in the most vulnerable part of Hawaii. We shouldn't be. We should be the top of Hawaii. All the Native Hawaiians in this corner should be running it. We should be. But now we got this. All these kupuna in here get Medicare, yes? Medicaid, yes? Yes? Now they're facing possible cuts. And it's true. I read the entire big, beautiful bill.
Okay, so the question was, back to your question,
Sorry.
Senator Awa, go ahead.
I got it.
About this, I'm thinking about my son, but
Take your time.
it's really the rising prices and how that's going to influence the crime rate is going to go up. Homelessness is going to go up. Medical is going down. This is all, especially not only in Wai'anae, this is all the Hawaiian communities all around. And I haven't heard you guys talk for us since this started. And so that's what I want to know. What's your plan? When are you going to start talking? And it's okay. It's okay that the president is part of your party. But it's okay to question when something is wrong. It's okay to face it. You can question your own party.
Senator Awa?
That was long again. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for waiting. I'll start with the first part. I think one of the most important things that you're asking is, hey, why are you guys not talking more on what's happening out in Washington? And I know the trickle-down effect is what you're getting at, but if I can address the first part of your question, if I can make the easiest analogy possible from what we know, I wish everybody could know what we know. But the problem is, if I let all the information that we know out, it gets trickled into the public, and it gets lost in miscommunication. Things that we say is not taken for how we meant to take it. But with the tariffs and a lot of the other information that you see in the media, and I can sense the fear and anxiety that you must have. I don't want to put anything on you, but okay.
Senator Awa, go ahead and answer the question.
So, okay, good that you read the bill, get it from the source. But I can tell you, in an analogy form, growing up on the radio, Hawaii gets the songs maybe a couple months later than they're released in California. There's like a delay almost. So our government, and Tim can battle me because he's on the other side on this if he thinks differently, but it's from what I see and experience. The government, also when I say experience, that's being in the media. So the government does a good job here of filtering the information that comes through and putting out what they don't like, and not actually all of the information. So no one bill is perfect. We fight exactly what you're doing all the time. It's reverse over here. We're in the minority. We fight for Hawaiians. People call me racist for standing up for Hawaiians. But going back to the first part of why we're not speaking so much on it is because a lot of the triggers down here and people that are in fear of losing medical is based off of partial information. And so there's a lot of fear being spread, just like in the pandemic. And why don't we say? Because I don't have a crystal ball like you. You get up here and you said some things that were factual. To me anyway, many of us might be on a one paycheck away from being homeless, for sure. A lot of us live that way, us included. But a lot of things that you say are not factual. And I know you might not want to hear that, and I don't want to start a fight. I will let you know, but I don't want to start a fight. When you're talking about tariffs and we pay it, the tariffs are, that's, if you understand what he's doing business-wise, our country is getting ripped off when it comes to business. So what he's doing, and I'm not trying to back the president or anything, I'm just explaining what we see is being done. Okay, hang on. I don't want to get this too far. I know a lot of people
This isn't a back
for
and
other
forth.
things. But
Answer the question and we'll move on.
Yeah. If you want, and I know you reached out on social media to all of us, like you said. I did give you my phone number. I said you can come out to the Food Tree Project. I can have this whole discussion with you offline. I would love to have this discussion with more people that see it from your point of view, because frankly, from my experience being in the news, being in government, seeing behind the curtain, and knowing all of what I know on both Washington and here, it would be very valuable for somebody like you who continues to spread your message of your interpretation of bills and whatnot to get this side of the information. So if you would, and I don't know if everybody wants this conversation to continue, I'm fine with going, but I do feel like I'm taking a lot of time away from Sam and the business that we have here. But if you want, my number, by the way, right, you got it, right? You got it. If you don't, get me over here, call me up right after. We can have a night discussion on my drive back to the North Shore. It's probably an hour and a half.
All right, there you go. Sounds good. Senator Richards, have a comment? Go ahead.
Let me just add a few things because I hear your concerns. The state budget's $19.9 billion, approaching $20 billion for next year. And the concerns about the cuts for SNAP benefits, for food bank, food basket, et cetera. Back in, I think it was April, Lieutenant Governor asked me to go to DC with her to talk about this to Secretary of Ag. We raised the concerns because as a state, we're about 30% food insecure, meaning about 1 out of 3 animals are not sure we're going to have, 1 out of 3 families are not sure we're going to have dinner tonight. Big Island is worse. We're 40% food insecure. We cut the SNAP benefits, and then we cut the benefits to our food basket, food bank. How are we going to stand those up? And this is a concern. I met with the military, and we discussed this because one of the problems is the fastest growing demographic using our food banks is the military families. They can't make it either. And I put all this before Secretary Rollins and raised a concern. The short answer is we as a state are financially secure, and we can coast through the next year and stand things up to take care of the programs. I'm very sorry about special needs being cut because I have some very good friends that are in the same position you are. The funding for the food for our people is shaky, but we have enough to get through for the short term. The question is next year. And I don't have an answer for you that, but I'm very happy to have conversations. And though we maybe disagree on some things, we agree on taking care of all the people. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Richards, for the clarification. Okay, moving on to a next question which was submitted through a QR code. This is for the Department of Education. Question: why do the schools on the Wai'anae Coast that there is such a differentiation of resources and some schools lack so much as Nanakuli High and Intermediate? So I guess the question is, why is there a difference in resources between Nanakuli High and Wai'anae High?
Okay, I'll go ahead and pass it over to our complex area superintendent, Disa Hagi.
Aloha, everybody. The state has a system by which funds are distributed to each school based on enrollment. So when a school has 2,000 kids, it gets a lot more than a school that has 1,000 kids. There are other factors that can even things out in terms of facilities because we don't get funding for facility needs based on enrollment. It's just based on what the condition is that needs to get worked on. So I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, but here's my office number. 692-8000. 692-8000. We get a lot of people who call in to tell us about something that's an issue, like a special ed class being cut. And so it really helps us when you call us and let us know what's going on so we can follow up.
Thank you so much, Kaz. You know what, I'll add to that because I have had some parents really come to me with concerns. And so, you know, that's a kind of like, it's a very disheartening truth when you hear something like, you know, Nanakuli not getting that much money because no more that much enrollment. I know for a fact that our facilities have been neglected up at Nanakuli High School for quite a while now. As a matter of fact, when I continue to walk the grounds over there, I see that ACs are out, roofs are leaking, water fountains are out, trash cans are nowhere to be found. I mean, it's really heartbreaking to see the kids that have to go to school there. Not to mention, we just had recently had bus buses canceled. I mean, it's one thing after the other with Nanakuli. And, it pains me when parents come to me and they can't get the basic necessities for their students that are going to this school, not to mention, just the safety issues, the facilities, the parking lot. I mean, Nanakuli has been very neglected, and I'll say that up front. And it's not because of the people there that don't care, because I've met some great students who give great teachers who give above and beyond. I know faculty and staff there that are alumni, and they give their own money out of their own pocket to make sure that the kids have what they need. So could the state do better? As a matter of fact, they absolutely can. But what I will say is there is a process to asking for state funding. It's called CIP, Capital Improvement Projects. And this is where the school will ask the state for money specifically for certain areas. And I will say here on record that Nanakuli has really been lacking in being able to ask specifically for funding for specific areas. So I will continue to work with Nanakuli High School to make sure that they put in the request to make sure that these facilities are safe for our kids to go to school in, that they have locker rooms that are not getting backed up because the plumbing does not work. They have a football field that they can play games on, that they're not tripping over because there's holes. They can run the tracks that's not peeling up from a track that was just put in 7 years ago. So I will continue to work with Nanakuli, but if you have a student that goes to Nanakuli and if you're just really frustrated with what's happening over there, please get in touch with my office, because we want to collaborate with Nanakuli and with the Department of Education. This is why when I got elected, my first ask was to be on Department of Education to make sure that Nanakuli, Wai'anae, Makaha, Maili, all of the schools, all of the 9 public schools here in the Wai'anae Coast looks exactly like the schools up at Mililani Mauka, the schools that you see at Hawaii Kai. But for some reason, when you come down here in Wai'anae, it looks different. You know why? Because it is different. Why? Because they do treat us different. Why? I don't know, maybe it is because of the enrollment. Regardless of the fact, our kids should never, ever lack the basic resources when they go to school. And our parents should never have to second guess when they send their kids to school to make sure they're, number one, in a safe environment. And number two, they're getting the quality education that they need, that every other student in this state gets. So I'll say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. All right, next question to the microphone.
Aloha, my name is Ginger. I live here up in Wai'anae Valley. So I know there is many people that brought up about homelessness, yeah? So my thing is, here's my problem. I am, like how you guys sit on the top and you guys get yelled at from us, yeah? I am the middleman. I'm the little one. I'm the one who get yelled at from my clients out there that is on the beach. You know how you said you came in, you seen all them people? Well, that's my people that I take care of. I made a really good rapport with them, but here is my problem. I have a lot of my kupunas out there who is on Social Security. I cannot get them in one place. Why? Because they don't make twice the amount of income of that rent. The only cheapest rent that I have here, and it is a studio, and it's down at Kulia Ikanu'u in Wai'anae, because my kupunas not like leave here, is $944. Now my kupunas only make $944, and they only can cover water. So therefore, my kupunas will stay out there because they do not qualify for Honu. I love Honu. Nothing wrong with Honu. They're my girls, because when I call them, they come in clutch. They're the only ones that go and help my people out, whether they get mental health or they want kupuna. But the problem with my kupuna is they cannot get off that ground. And yes, they live out there, but they're not on the ground. We make bed for them. So I don't know how we're going to solve it. There is no one fix all kind things. But we got to look at the housing prices, I feel. If Kulia Ikanu'u is the only place that I can offer my kupunas, that is sad. Because how are they going to come out? No more bus over there. Not all of them know or educated enough to call handy van. They say thinking they only can catch Uncle Frosty. We all know he made that, yeah, the box. So we need one solution. I don't know. I cannot come up with any solution. I dumbfounded. You know how many kupunas I got to walk away and say, I cannot help you, auntie. Even my mental health, I cannot help you unless I take away your rights. Is there other solutions that we can come up with?
Thank you.
state level?
Thank you for the question. Solutions on homelessness, cost of living.
So
Go ahead.
some of the sidebar stuff. So just so you guys know, background. When I was at Honolulu Police Department, I was a community outreach unit leader, and our team created the HONU. So it's something that I'm very passionate about because it's one of those things where although my job is to enforce, I want to be fair. So in other words, if I got to take you to jail, I want to know that I also had option A, you chose option B. But I always try to make it fair. So some of the things that the Gov's team has me working on since I came over is because I do specialize in those type of connecting programs for those that are basically violating the law overnight, is that there's discussions of asking the federal government for money. They're going to call it a super HONU, but what it's going to be is for individuals like what she was sharing with, what Ginger was sharing with, is that the HONU was meant to kind of transition someone that's already kind of living in that tent environment into a more structured tent environment, and then moved on into something more traditional. What the idea of the super HONU would be, it would be more like modular homes, very similar to Kauiki Village or the Sand Island project that Connie Mitchell used to run. So a little more hardened. In others, we can have beds for people that, I guess the term is everyday activities, right? They'll be able to do their EDLs and whatnot. So we are looking at that kind of gap for those type of kupuna. The hard part is that just like for me, right? I'm born and raised in Kaneohe. I can't afford to live in Kaneohe. I live in Kapolei, right? So when people are struggling, they have to also be fair at what options are available to them and work their way back. So, I've already told my fiance that, my parents are getting older. Hopefully there's equity in my home, and then I'll be able to earn the right to go back to live to Kaneohe. So we have to be, with our homeless people, our homeless population, we have to be very empathetic, but we also have to be realistic that not everybody gets to live where they want to live. And if the journey is for them to go somewhere else first, stabilize, and then come back, then that's their journey, just as with mine. In other words, it shouldn't be any different for any of us. Not everyone here lives where they want to live. They live where they can afford. And the goal is to get back to or whatever their goal is, to earn that. So it's one of those things we got to communicate that with people. Ideally, they would be able to stay where they can. But because land is so sparse here and it's so valued, it's not like the mainland where we can just plop one up somewhere and nobody's going to get upset. This community is kind of torn in where they want support systems to be placed. And that's what makes it very difficult. And there really is no solution that's going to make everyone happy. But to let you guys know, we are working in it at the governor's level. And, I talked to the mayor's team. I told them about out here. They're going to need some love. But the only options that we have right now is kauhales or some type of long-term HONU system. But as a community, we're going to have to agree where that would be located if the idea is to allow our kupuna to remain in this community.
Mahalo, Director. Senator DeCorte.
Let me just address the homeless issue because I think we here on the Wai'anae Coast are feeling like our public properties and our public lands and our parks and our beaches are kind of, no longer an option as to where we want to go. And, Wai'anae is very unique in the sense of when we have graduation parties, birthday parties, whatever, we like to go out to the beach and we like to celebrate. We don't have large facilities here, so we do that. But I think first and foremost, to address the homelessness issue on the state side, because this is what we have jurisdiction over. Just so you know, we are working in collaboration with the Pu'ohono o Wai'anae to move up to their property up in Mauka. So this was something that I have been working with DLNR about to make sure that, let's fulfill Twinkle's vision, right? She wanted to make sure that they owned their own property, that they were able to live and inhabitate and farm and ag and do all that kind of stuff. So I know on the state side, we are helping to move up that community, up Mauka, so that we can return the boat harbor back to the public to make sure that, hey, if there's land there that the Department of Education can use for their aquaponics, then they can use that for aquaponics, or just to make sure that, again, we return that public lands back to our residents. So just so you know on the state side that's what we are working on. So we're going to be moving them up. They're building, they're almost there. Hopefully they will be ready, but November 27th is when they're going to be moving up. So I can assure you on the state side, if they're on state property, yeah, we're going to get involved. What we're finding out on our beaches, that's city property. So I think that's something that we want to continue to implore our mayor and our city council about.
Mahalo for the update. And speaking on updates, a question came in asking for an update. Senator DeCorte, what's the update on the Wai'anae police station? Can you give us the latest on that and any news about its staffing?
Okay, well, that is a city issue, but let me just let you know that I spoke with Major Beckley this morning about the update for the Wai'anae police station. So let me just summarize her message to you because it's something that I am following behind the scenes, but I'm not leading the front because, again, I'm on the state side. So pretty much what's happening with the police station is they were just awarded $1.2 million to take the second floor to the next level. So right now, the Wai'anae police station second floor is completely vacant. It's still cement walls. There's no electrical. There's nothing in there. And so the county is appropriating money to get that completed. So the city is working towards that. But what I will say, and some of you may have seen this on the news, is that the new chief of police has just mentioned that he was going to be giving 12 officers here to District 8. So we need those officers as much as possible. But more importantly, we need a completed police station so we can have full-time detectives, so we can have CRU, so we can make sure that when we book criminals on the Wai'anae Coast, we can leave them here and then we can hold them here instead of taking them back to Kapolei. So we're continuing to follow that. But of course, go ahead and email your council member.
Mahalo. Senator, we'll go to the mic.
Aloha, thank you for being here. My name is Mapuano. My family name is Kili'i. Married name is Tector. My tutor-man also is part of the Wai'anae family in Nanakuli, given their property 1930. And the hats that I wear is with the Nanakuli PTSA, the Hawaiian Civic Club, the board, and many more, volunteerism. There are many times that I experience ag land stripped. We once was ag, and before that, pastoral. We had horses, hence why I'm dressed like this. A lot of us were paniolo and paniola. So we're continuously seeing our people being stripped and corporations, hotels being built. Where is the balance? Why aren't our people on their properties? What is Hawaiian Affairs? You guys are battling democracy, the majority of Democrats that have lied. I'm a born-again Christian. I would like us to be mindful for the stage because this is definitely a holy place. And I want to thank Ark of Safety for allowing this to occur because usually it's in a public forum. So with that, having to tend to Nanakuli High School and its issues, the building rotating with all the schools, asking for repairs, begging for repairs, honestly, and then the DHHL with giving out all the lands. Wow, wonderful. They're going to be land poor, home poor, 700,000. That's not affordable. We're getting ripped off.
Mahalo for the question.
Trust broken.
Thank you, Auntie, for the question. Senator Awa, want to speak on the ag zoning, rezoning part of the question?
We're an unbalanced state. The group in charge has a different mindset when it comes to housing, when it comes to things like rezoning, just on response in general to a lot of our problems. And because it's so unbalanced and our voices are so few when it comes to the minority, we can't pass bills. So we're not in there, Sam and I, trying to provide solutions even though we have them, because we know that due to politics, our bills will never pass. I had a bill as simple as recognizing the coconut tree, which is getting decimated, as a food source, because right now and I'm going far away from your question, but just to give you a mindset of what happens in there. And that bill was simple, one line change to the law, passed the Senate with my colleague Tim Richards' vote as well, not changed at all. So it could have became law. We could have protected the tree. And when it got to the other side, because I am part of the minority and they want to send a message, kill that one. No matter what, even though the committee chair was a Hawaiian who agreed with the bill. And so when you're asking, hey, what are we going to do about the homes? We'll keep fighting until we restore balance and we can change the process. But until we get more balance in the state, and I'm not even talking about Democrats or Republicans, I'm just talking about a mindset. I don't know how many people watched Chief of War, the third episode when it came out last weekend. But the one part that stood out to me was when Kaiana told the lady who had been in the Philippines, you've been away from the land for too long, because her mindset was, let's sell out the sandalwood for the guns, right? Well, the mindset of selling out is par for the course in today.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, yep. Oh, Senator Richards, go ahead.
Yeah. Just real quick, I'm from Big Island, and one of the challenges, we talked about the zoning thing. Well, I came up from county, and on the Big Island, almost every land was zoned Ag 20. And then we have to go forward with the rezoning to get some housing done. I had trouble getting that stuff through county. And I think you said that best when you talk about where's the balance. And that's what we have to do. We have to look at the balance for that. And, we get along. We have that focus in mind of trying to strike the balance. It's not an easy answer. And I'd happily talk story with you about this, but I do want to be mindful of letting other people ask questions. But if you want to contact my office, I'm very happy to talk story with you about this.
Thank you, Senator Richards. All right, before we go to our next question on the mic, we're going to go to a QR code question. Question is, why do you build more housing but do not improve the infrastructure? What about the cesspool issue? And with the state mandate, will we be able to convert all cesspools in time?
That is not an easy answer to give, but it comes back again to the balance. We have a mandate, a federal mandate, to get rid of the cesspools, and of the 80,000, Big Island has 50,000 of those cesspools. We don't have the infrastructure in place. To get more people onto the land, I'm talking specifically about Hawaiians on Hawaiian homes, I commend OHA for putting the funding in to get some infrastructure in place, because that's huge. There are some projects I'm working on the Big Island to get more water, to get that infrastructure in place so then we can get the housing built. I agree the comment before, $700,000 is not affordable. $350,000 maybe if everybody is working in the household. That's not an easy answer to come up with, but we have to find a better way to get the infrastructure in, because if we get infrastructure in, then we can start getting that housing built, and I'm mindful of time.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. And I will say that Wai'anae is a category 1 when it comes to the cesspool conversion, and Wai'anae is just not ready for that. So what's going to happen when Wai'anae doesn't convert? What is the city going to do? They're going to impose fines. What happens when they can't pay those fines? They're going to continue to build and build and build and build. And then what's going to happen? Eventually, at the end of the day, there's going to be property forfeiture. Now, we're talking worst case scenario, but we have to think of those things when we're speaking on behalf of a community that has kupunas living on a fixed income, and that is just completely unrealistic. I was never about it when the bill was introduced, and I'm not about it now. So I think the mayor of Big Island, of Hawaii Island, came out and said they can't meet that deadline. And realistically, I know Wai'anae can't meet that deadline. I don't know how the rest of the state is going to do it, but I know for sure Wai'anae is just not ready.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our next microphone question.
Is it honored? Aloha, Senators. I'm Austin Salcedo. I appreciate Senator Tim Richards, Senator Brenton Awa for supporting the Dukes Law. It became Act 235, Senate Bill 1249. But I have questions here too. In fact, I have Cranston Duke Pia, dad and family in me. Standing up here, please stand. And they recognize and give gratitude for this bill to be named after Duke Pia. But the question is, with this law that's coming about, it's an act as of July 1st. Our public, how would I say this? It's as a landowner, how do we protect our property and create a citizen's arrest on our property when they violate our areas? For such as, hold on. For everyone that's looking at this, this is our first line of defense of Duke's law. No trespassing. These perpetrators trespass on our property. Are we allowed to shoot them in the leg if we have a confrontation with them? What is the safest way for us landowners so we don't lose our property because of knuckleheads trespassing, crossing these signs, bypassing this no trespassing sign? What is the safer approach on this?
So, thank you, Mr. Salcido. So, the biggest thing, guys, is that law enforcement just recommends let us do our job. What we don't want is for you guys to be so frustrated that you take it into your own hands, because you can affect the citizen's arrest, but then you also accept the liability of that seizure. So meaning if the person tries to walk off and you tackle them or whatnot, you'll likely win in court in regards to criminal. But if you injured that person, civil court is much different. So leave it up to us. Take a photo, right? And then we can go ahead and follow up. I know that there's a lot of frustration again and people want to take it into their own hands, but don't do that, guys. It's not worth it. It's not like before where there's a lot of respect from the youth. And if a uncle or grandpa came out and said, "Hey, what you doing?" They would say, "Sorry, uncle," right? You know, "Who's your dad?" And they would actually tell your dad, and they would call your dad, and you get lickings at home, right? It's not like that anymore. They might hurt you or your family. So we don't recommend that you guys take that into your own hands. Put up the signs. I know it's not exactly what you guys want to hear, but let us do it retroactively. SB 1249, it's kind of on a 3-strike rotation. So within the law itself, first time, 3 days, second time, 10 days, third time, 30 days. That's for petty misdemeanors, which a lot of the crimes will come into when we're dealing with what you're frustrated with. For misdemeanors, right, it starts off with 5 days minimum. So in other words, first offense, 5 days in jail. Right? Then it goes to 30 days in jail and then 1 year in jail, up to 1 year in jail. Again, the issue is the judge would have to utilize that in concert with penalties. But again, guys, let us do our job. And what we need from the community is for you folks to be good witnesses for us. So take the photo. I think your wife has the ag poster up. So you guys will see on the law.hawaii.gov website, we changed it from ag tip line to now it says ag reporting and tip line. So meaning that if it's a non-emergency situation, you told the guy, you caught him on your property, you took a photo, you tell him just leave before the cops get here, which they are very likely to do. You guys can either wait for 911 or if they've already left, upload it to our ag line. And then what we'll do is we'll build the case at the state level for the trespassing or the theft or whatever that instant offense was. But again, I got to underscore this in bold. Let us do that part in regards to apprehension. But thank you.
Mahalo, Director.
I'd like to make an announcement as well to thank you for our Brian Miyamoto from the Farms Bureau and Director Sharon Hurd. They're handling the administrative portion and making it possible for this agriculture crime, no trespassing signs to be handed out tonight. 5 each. Come to me. I'll issue out to all of the ag landowners, 5 each on this thing. Thank you, Director Sharon Hurd, and thank you, Farms Bureau, Brian Miyamoto. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. All right, before we go to our next microphone question, we have a question via QR code. The question is, why don't the police pull over expired safety vehicles or cite for not wearing seatbelts? They are typically the worst drivers. I'm just reading the question.
Oh, Honolulu PD, where you at? Nah, just kidding. So so the issue here is, and actually I brought this up at I think it was about 2 years ago at a town hall, that the issue is, guys, is that from a law enforcement standpoint, when it comes to those type of crimes, we cannot win, right? So for example, when they had all of the people getting shot up, HPD did their typical suppression, which has to do with giving out tickets. And what that is to remind the community, A, we're here, and B, the law matters. They got a rash of, blowback on, "Oh, why are you guys doing all this Manini stuff, all this high stuff?" And what I shared at that other community meeting, guys, it's like your backyard, right? When the grass is long, can you see the weeds? You cannot, right? So you have to cut the grass low. So what the low grass is people following the law. And then what happens is, what are the weeds when the grass is low? They stand out. So we can, and I can tell you right now, I can make a phone call tomorrow and we can light up the Wai'anae Coast, but we're going to put people that there's going to be some fiscal responsibility that comes with that. So you guys have to watch what you wish for. But I can tell you guys right now that if you guys want order on this side, everybody has to follow the rules so that the grass is low. You guys kind of tell us, I came out here for fireworks, right? Ooh, you guys, I got a rash of, I don't want to swear in this place, but, I got a really hard time, right? And then what happened 2 weeks later? Huge fire, right? So it's kind of one of those things, guys, where we're not here to make sure people have fun. We're not making sure that people can be free and I don't mean it in a negative way. We're here to keep people safe. So we can do all of those things, but the community has to agree that we want law and we are going to pay our safety checks. We're going to have insurance when we drive because driving is a privilege. It's not a right. And part of that privilege is making sure your stuff is paid for, you have a driver's license and you have insurance in case you bang somebody, because that sucks when you get banged by an uninsured driver. So come together, work with your council members, work with your elected officials, and if that's what you guys want, I'll send the sheriffs out here and we'll help with that as well.
All right. Go ahead,
Really quick,
Senator.
let me just add to that because I just talked to Major Beckley, District 8, this morning. District 8 has issued 33,000 traffic violations from January, the start of January till now. District 8 gives out the most traffic violations of all the districts. So I don't want you guys to think that HPD isn't doing their job. There's a lot of other elements that play into factor. There's a prosecutor's office and there's so many other things. But I want, again, just to echo what Director Lambert had said is, everybody wants to talk about speeding until somebody gets a speeding ticket. So again, if that's what the community wants, then we can do it. Just got to let us know, but make sure that your tags are up to date. Make sure everybody in the house is good to go before we actually, as he said, start lighting it up. So thanks.
Mahalo, Senator. And we'll go to the microphone.
Hello, my name's Walker. I'm the ED of Kids Hurt 2. I'm here tonight because Nani and Dana couldn't make it. I want to first thank Senator Awa, Senator DeCorte, and Representative Kila's not here. Y'all's offices have really jumped to help us with an issue, a procurement issue that we faced last week. Naya staying and working late into the night, as I think she called me at around 8 p.m., and she was still plugging away at the issue. The state spends literally millions of dollars on needs assessments, trying to figure out where the most need is, what communities need different things, and they use that to inform various programs throughout all of the departments. Part of the issue that we faced last week was that a lot of this seems to be lip service. And so we have programs coming out that are designed for rural communities, Native Hawaiians, at-risk youth, and they are routinely being awarded to the same organizations. They're routinely going to the same demographics, and most of them are in town. So the resources that are on the state level meant to reach HAWAIIA, meant to reach Wai'anae, aren't at all, even though on paper they should. So what additional oversight or what additional levels of scrutiny can be applied to these programs so that we don't have to spend, it was one proposal last week for $75,000, but we had to spend collectively probably over 30 hours back and forth about it. And we cannot do that every single time because we have to go to Senator Richards' foundations like his, like Atherton, to fill in, and especially as things get worse, there's less and less money for them to be able to do that.
I appreciate your comments, and the community saw me smiling. It's the typical problem with the rural districts, and Big Island is very, very rural. We see the same problems on the Big Island. And I don't have a real quick answer for you. I think I'm very curious to find out more details, specifically what you're talking about. I'm happy to work with Senator DeCorte on this one to understand better, because I think this is a problem for the rural districts. I have Kohala is my district, and it's very rural. KΑKOU and that side is very rural, and we run into some of the same issues. So maybe we can learn from each other, and maybe we can plug some of the holes.
And then also, I'll just add, if you have a passion or a kuleana to serve in a certain community or with a group, I just want to encourage you to continue to do the work. And I know that's what you guys are doing, and that's what we are all here doing. But I work with a lot of nonprofit organization that doesn't just rely on state funding. Yeah, you cannot just rely on federal funding. You cannot just rely on state funding. There's other ways of getting grants, and I can help you with that and maybe give you some websites that you can go apply for. But, this kind of work, community work, kuleana work, like it's never enough, right? Because you're always giving above and beyond. It's tireless and it's thankless. So I want to really thank you for what it is that you guys are doing, but continue to hang in there, because I think as far as the funding is concerned, yeah, I think everybody is feeling the pinch right now, especially the nonprofits, but continue to hang in there, continue to keep going. I'd be more than happy to share with you with some other funding that I do know of that's out there, but the ones that are really like standing in place right now, like they're hustling it with other organizations. They're getting private funding. So it's a situation like you really got to work it, but continue to stay on the path. And I'd be more than happy to forward you some grants and websites that you can go ahead and apply for.
Thank you for the question, and thank you, Senator. All right, moving to a QR code question that was submitted. Question: will there be a police pilot program in our high schools? If yes, how soon? And please, I assume this is the school resource officers. Director Lambert?
So I know, and I'm speaking for Honolulu Police Department, so I know that they sent a handful of retired officers up to the school resource officer program to be certified in the mainland. They'll be looking for people, so if you guys know people that are ex-law enforcement, I think they're going to pay them $95,000 a year. So so I can't compete. The state guys don't make that. But I do know that I believe that the pilot is either going to be Wai'anae or Nanakuli or both. So again, that's speaking for Honolulu, so more details from their end. But I do know that they're pretty close to having them out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the microphone. Next question, please.
Okay, since I only got real quick. Kaz, I did try call your folks' office all last school year. The highest I got was speaking to a Michael Chow, and none of my answers got fulfilled. Like, I still lacked accountability, communication, transparency with Nanakuli High. So we can talk, because that's a whole nother issue after, especially, so I work for Alternative Structures International, ASI, also known as Kahumana. So I work up Ohana Ola, which is only one of 2 transitional housings that we have on the state of Oahu. One is us, the other one is KWO. Ohana Ola only does families. KWO does individuals and families as well. So we also run the Old Weinberg in Waimanalo Emergency Shelter. So I work on both sides. Right now, even though my office is up there, I'm working in Waimanalo, so I was trying to rush here. So my concern is, on the state level, I know how it works, right? People think it's so easy because we have all these homeless people. I once was homeless myself. During the time in 2022, we were offered what is called an EHV program, Emergency Housing Voucher, which about 4,000 people, 4,000 families and stuff will now be without a home because that voucher expires 6 years ahead than what it was planned due to budget cuts. So this is another issue. The other plans is they plan on building kauhales all over. They want to build kauhales up where we are. They want to build on Waimanalo property, and that's good. We're getting people off the street. But again, what is the game plan after that? Because I work hard. I don't get paid enough. But then we have the state funding that says, hey, here's some money, make it work. Housing works. We place all these people in homes. Sustainability-wise, they can't afford it once the services stop. So it's a revolving door. People keep wondering why people are homeless. We try our best to house these people, and it's just repetitious over and over. And I've tried to we tried to go up, talk to Julian, we've tried everything, and let's just build more kauhales. Okay, cool. But what's the next game plan after that?
Thank you. So homelessness.
Yeah, so let me just go ahead and answer that because we have multiple shelters here on the Wai'anae Coast. I can literally send you a list of the shelters here on the Wai'anae Coast with its vacancies. So this is why I don't support any new homeless developments out here, whether that be kauhales, whether that be whatever it is because we already have shelters here that are in place. I can tell you how many vacancies are for singles. I can tell you how many vacancies are for couples. I can tell you how many vacancies are for families. So it's not for lack of a place to go. It's not for a lack of a place to go. It is, although, a mentality of people that don't want to go into shelters. They don't want to follow rules. I'm sorry, but there are rules that we have to follow. I live in my own house. I own my own home. I got to follow rules. And so this is the part where the enablement and the lack of being able to enforce the law to free up our public spaces are why people are continuing to be able to live wherever they want to live, use the water, use our facilities, and also not even be able to, just clean up around yourself. And so that is why I work hand in hand with the homeless shelters that are down here. So it's not for lack of shelters. There's a place to go. If anybody over here has a family member or friend that's living on the beach right now and they want to get into shelter, let me know. I have a place I can put them in tonight. And so, but the problem is not that they don't want to go. The problem is they don't want to follow rules. They don't want to be confined. But I'm sorry, that's just life. My kids got to follow rules. I got to follow rules. Everybody that is here got to follow rules. And they're not going to continue to use our resources that my taxpayer money pays for. Hey, everybody's having a hard time. I'm having a hard time. We just had to pull out my husband's annuity to pay for our mortgage. So trust me, I'm feeling the pinch just like everybody else. So when I see that somebody is getting away with it or not doing their part, yeah, I get upset.
Mahalo, Senator. Thank you for the question. All right, we're going to move on to a next QR code question that came in. Where did it go? Here it is. Aloha. This is from Christian Zuckerman with the Hawaii Farmers Union, represents family farmers, ranchers, and fisheries across the state. I also grew up here and have been farming in Wai'anae for 13 years. Wai'anae used to be known as the breadbasket of Oahu. As we all know, farming is hard work and has many challenges. With the increased housing pressure, cost of living, and many other barriers, what are some initiatives coming into next session to support the family ranchers and farmers and to empower our farming community?
Was that for the Hawaii Farm Bureau? I don't think that they're here.
It's from a farmer. This is from Christian Zuckerman. He's a farmer on the Wai'anae Coast.
I apologize.
Years.
Okay, I thought that was being directed. So let me tell you what we're doing here in Wai'anae. There's an organization called LAMBERT, and they are responsible for a major part of our food drives. It's called Pa'apono. They also do their kupuna pantry. This organization is pumping out millions of pounds of food to our community. They're in our schools. They're in our public spaces. They're making sure that our community is fed, that we do not lack, because in our food insecurity, yeah, it's hard for us to farm out here because the area is so dry, right? But they are building a community food hub up there by the Wai'anae Comp Center. They're getting funding. They actually should be breaking ground very soon. So this is going to be a project that the first time in the nation, you have a healthcare facility and you have a food source. So we are breaking ground here on the Wai'anae Coast as being the very first healthcare in collaboration with a community food hub. So Wai'anae is not waiting for other people to come and rescue us. Like, we're doing our own thing. We're helping our own people, because when they do a food drive, they're only helping the 96792. They're not extending that to people in other communities. Hey, go do your own projects out there. But for us, we got us. And so that's why it's important that we support organizations like this and everybody else that is helping to feed our community. But start at home. Plant an ulu tree, plant a coconut tree, do something. We have to start getting ma'a to these kinds of practices for us to be able to sustain ourselves, because if the boats ever do dry up, we're going to be in big trouble and we cannot wait. So it's important that we start implementing programs and organizations that are actually doing the work already. They're not waiting. And trust me, they're not only getting state funding, they're hustling it and going around the nation telling the nation what Wai'anae is doing, and people are compelled to help. So I want to give this over to Senator Richards as well.
So, question is, what are we doing for agriculture to help accelerate agriculture? I'm a numbers guy, and I have to understand, I can't figure out where I'm going if I don't know where I am right now. Our state has roughly 1.4 million people. We roughly eat 5 pounds of food a day. That's a national number that we use to calculate. Our state consumes 7 million pounds of food a day. You add tourism in there, that's another 25%. We consume over 3 billion pounds of food a year statewide. I'm from a neighbor island. Infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. If we don't have that, we're not going to accelerate agriculture. We can do it, and we have the bones there, but we got to start putting the infrastructure there. Director Sniffen's helping me with putting the infrastructure at the shipping ports for the neighbor islands so we can get the commodities to the large population, which is Oahu. But we have more than that to work on. We've got to look at our water infrastructure, not just transportation. We also have to adapt some of our leases and our leasehold lands that prohibit allowing farmers and ranchers to live on the property that they have. It doesn't make any sense if you're from agriculture. I'm sure somewhere in some office made sense of it years ago, but there's things that procedurally we have to fix. And the thing is, we are starting to fix on those things. I have a passion for agriculture. Almost every question, and you can ask my colleagues, whenever some bill comes before, I always ask, but how does this affect agriculture? Education, all farmers and ranchers have kids. Housing, they need a place to live. Healthcare, they need to have that. So what are we doing is we're standing up, but it's a slow process to stand that up. But I have a driving passion for agriculture. Right now, we're importing between 90 and 95% of the food we consume. I think we can realistically double that, meaning produce 20% of the food in the next 15 to 20 years if we get the infrastructure in place. And I'm committed and definitely working on that.
Mahalo, Senator. How are you guys doing out there? You guys okay? You guys good? All right, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Off to the mic. Uncle James calls.
Before I ask my question will go before Mr. Lambert. Can I do something real fast? Can I ask Chris Morioka, please stand up, please, if you will? I know you don't want to get a big head, but say, yeah, you know what? You already got one anyway. Everybody knows about the big fire we had in Miley, okay? My family lost their house, lost their business, lost their pet dog. They lost over $40,000 worth of jewelry in their house fire. Chris here provided the machinery to help us clear the property. And I want to, on behalf of the Ahuna family, I want to thank him very much for his help. With his help, with clearing out all the debris off the property, we were able to put down a foundation for the house. The house was actually paid for. We're just waiting for the okay for the blueprints. They're going to start rebuilding a new house very soon. And it wasn't for Chris help lending us the machines and helping us on the property to clear out all the debris. They lost all the vehicles, all their leased trucks, all the trucks that they're leasing from Penske, all burned. They lost 22 containers of supplies that they had for their business. Tents, poles, tables, chairs, pots and pans, you name it, they lost everything. But it wasn't for him coordinating all that. We had containers come in, we loaded up all the scrap metal, got it off. 4 days, I think it was, 4 days a week, cleared out all the scrap metal off the property. And believe me, there was a lot of scrap metal. We were able to get all that off the property, and we hauled in, myself and Philip, hauled in material for the foundation of the house. Took us 3 days to haul in enough material to do just the house. and we have enough foundation to start building a new house.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And mahalo, Representative Muraoka. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Now to Senator Richards.
That was the question. All right.
Now to Senator Richards. I don't have a question for you, but I just want to say thank you. I'm a retired truck driver, 42 years over here. It's a lot on the Big Island. And I used to haul a lot of cattle for a lot of the ranches over there. And I have seen a lot of cattle ranches go down because they couldn't make it. Now I see with all the bills that you're pushing, some of the bills that are passing, I see a lot of those cattle ranches are coming back. And to me, that's a good sign. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Our biggest ranch, well, my wife is family too, is the Parker Ranch, as you know. I've been up there to do roundups and all that kind of stuff, and we had some other ranches that I've helped out and round up and stuff. So, but I want to thank you for all that, Mr. Lambert.
You can trust the guy in a black hat.
There you go. There you go. And the shit kicker. Oh, sorry, the shit kickers. My question is, game rooms. I don't know if you have anything to do with them. But to me, it seems like one game room is getting busted. That same game room, the next day, is back in operation. We have one right across the street from Tamura's shopping center, Tamura's supermarket right here in Wai'anae. They've been out there, they closed it down. The next day, they're right back in operation again. But I want to find out what is the solution. None of the neighbors want to speak up because, and I don't blame them, they don't want to be retaliation, and they will get retaliation from these people.
Absolutely. So the biggest thing is that we follow up with nuisance abasement when I was with the Honolulu Police Department. So when I took over the Honolulu Police Department, there was 140 game rooms island-wide. So I think that was, what was that, March of 2023-ish or so. 22 or around that point. In about 18 months, I was able to knock that down to 70 game rooms island-wide. So the ones that spring up, the reason why they take so long is that after you did the initial search warrant, and then we go ahead and collect the evidence, or they collect the evidence now, Honolulu Police Department collects the evidence, then what happens is they file for nuisance abatement, which is a civil process that goes after the land owner or the property owner. That process can take anywhere from 30 to 60 days to file, right? And then it takes another 30 days for them to comply. But that model has been very, very successful because it's very hard because you're dealing with organized crime with the game rooms. So understanding who actually owns the game room, we kind of know because of whispers, but like you said, nobody's willing to tell us. So when I was the mayor of Narco, I said, never mind, we're chasing our tail. Let's just go over the property owner, tell them this is what's happening on your property, and if you allow it to continue, we'll seize your property. So HPD, I think I just talked to them, and they said that they're down to about 50 island-wide. So they're trending in the right direction. So what Wai'anae is doing, or the organized crime out here is doing, what they're doing is they're opening for 10 days, closing for 10 days. They're playing these cat and mouse games because they know that the federal requirement is that it opens for, I won't say the magic number because then they're going to go under that. But they have to show consistent operation for a certain period of time, which means that we can only take it to the state level. And unfortunately, the state processes are a little bit longer. But I'm confident that my old team will take care of it.
And I also want to say, I remember when you used to come before the neighborhood boards. I'd like to extend an invitation to you to come before the Nanakuli Maili neighborhood board. And you made the right move.
I appreciate it. You guys know, everybody in there knows if you invite me, I will come. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I definitely like to get out here. And that's why I appreciate these type of events. And I think you guys will find, right, that I'm very direct and honest. And then, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So sometimes I say things you guys might not like, but what I'm telling you guys is the absolute truth. So
that's how I am. I say something people don't like, but that's all right.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Uncle James. All right, we're going to move on to a QR code question. Here's one question that came in from a attendee. Question, how can we stop more vape shops from popping up along the coast? It says here, it's all Koreans who capitalize on our most vulnerable. Example, they sell novelty urine. I believe that's fake urine to pass drug tests, making money off of our community.
Yeah, so there's a store currently that sells synthetic urine. So these kinds of products being sold in your community, it demoralizes the residents of the community. And so what happens is when you go into these places of business and they're selling, this synthetic urine, which is basically if you have to take a drug test and you was doing drugs and you're gonna like piss dirty, then you'll like get the synthetic urine and then you'll pass the drug test. So this is where the community plays a perfect role. And I'm so thankful for the neighborhood boards, because the neighborhood boards on the Wai'anae Coast are so involved. I'm telling you, if you are getting a permit over here and you never come to the neighborhood board, like they are driving by your property and they are calling you out. If you went to the neighborhood board trying to get your permit processed and you're already building, they're taking pictures and they're sending it back to the city. So we're really on it when it comes to those kinds of things. But, if the community is not happy with the products that are being sold, like it's very important that we take those issues to the neighborhood board so we can make sure that we birth it from the community itself so it can reach all levels. Because at the neighborhood board, you not only have state representatives, you have city representatives, you have federal representatives, you have HPD there, you have community there, you have churches there. So I would say that the best way to do that is continue to take it to the neighborhood board. But as far as I'm concerned, there's one store, and we probably know what that store is. I'm not going to call them out here, but there is that one store that I've always had a problem with the fact that they do that, because our kids go into that store, and when they see those kinds of things, it starts conversation. How come they're selling that? What is that? Why would they sell that? And this is not something that we want to have in our community, period.
Thank you, Senator. And before we go to the next microphone question, we have 2 people left in line. We're going to end there. But if you do have a question, please get in line now. Okay. Oh, sorry. We got 3 people in line back there. And now 4. We're going to ask if you can now please stand in line, because the last person will be our cutoff for the in-person questions. Okay.
Yeah. And then just really quick. So we will be ending at 8:30. Olelo will be ending at 8:30. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, next question. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. Okay, so I live in Makaha. I live 5 houses down from the last shooting. What are we doing about the guns? I am born and raised Hawaii, Moku Okeawe, back and forth to my tutu's house down here. My parents and my grandparents never had to jump on me to make sure the neighbors scrapping wasn't shooting us. And I've had to do that 3 times in the last 3 years on Lahaina Street. Kids are gonna be hard-headed regardless. But where and why is there so much guns being pushed down into areas like this? It comes overseas. It comes in shipment containers. It's getting shipped in. Why isn't it being tracked down? Why isn't dogs being ran to find these things? Or if it is, if you started. Thank you.
So I was trying to work with U.S. Rep. Takuda, because the issue here is that now most of the parts are printed in home, right? So they get the 3D printers, but the hard parts, the barrel, the slides, the things that are hard to mill are still shipped in from the mainland. The problem is that it's completely legal to do that. So I can go on the web right now and I can buy everything else I need for an AR-15, an assault rifle, and I can print the part that's controlled by the federal government, by FFL licensing. So the issue here, guys, is from a law enforcement standpoint, I can't go into your home without a search warrant, but guess who can go into their home? You guys. So I always get upset when I hear parents, how does it happen? Like, I don't know, good question, right? You know what I mean? How did my son get a gun? Good question, very good question. Because I can tell you right now, I go through my kids' stuff, right? And I've had to deal with them vaping and whatnot, but that's not invading their privacy. That's being a parent, right? So I'm telling you guys right now that out here, we need to start being parents, not their friends, right? Not their buddies, their parents. Because I can tell you right now, a lot of the shootings that are going on here were avoidable because they live at home. Right? So who is checking? Who is asking their kids? The saddest part I see with this next generation is that they no longer value life, right? It's just something they take in, they don't think about. So the reality is this, is that it's really big for the faith groups, faith-based groups, the family groups, to really at a young age to instill the value of life, and you don't just take it from someone, right? I'm sad. I'm worried for my son. He's 19, right? And you know, for my generation, right? I'm born in the 80s. The only thing my dad had to worry about is me coming home with a black eye. Every parent in here has to worry if their kid is going to come home at all, right? So I can tell you guys right now that yes, law enforcement, it is our job to clean up the mess, but it is the community's issue and the family's issue to make sure that there's no mess to clean up. Right? So we need to work together. So we need to be able to share information, and those that do have guns, we will prosecute them, but it starts in the home.
Mahalo, Director.
So are you saying that most of the shootings that's been happening is done with ghost weapons?
I wasn't, because I left HPD in February, I'm no longer privy to those files, but before I left, vast majority were printed weapons.
Okay.
Particularly in Wai'anae and Kalihi, they're made, the controlled parts are printed, and then the rest they somehow get a hold of.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. All right, we're going to move on to a QR code question, and then we'll get back to the microphone. Question to Senator DeCorte. How will you ensure that the grassroots entities like Malama Makua and or HUI o Malama Makua have a seat at the table in facilitating the cleanup efforts, cultural access, and restoration of Makua Valley prior to the lease expiring?
Yeah, so and thank you, Army, for being here to speak on behalf of the Army's response. Hui o Malama and Malama Makua have been instrumental in the return of Makua. So it's not about bringing them to the table. They're already at the table. They have been meeting federally and with state entities for decades now. And so their voice, along with the community's voice, will continue to be heard with the return of Makua and the cleanup of Makua.
Mahalo, Senator, and to the microphone.
Aloha, everyone. Sorry, I wasn't so sure if I can speak. My name is Blessing Star Tala Cruz, Nanakuli board. I wanted to step down to go, listen to the community. But you all also know that I'm a godly woman, so I'm going to push forward to say what I'm going to say. As ko Hawaii Pa'aina diplomat, I'd like to thank you three, Diamond, Samantha, Brenton, for the works that you guys have done in regards in Washington. My position as diplomat of Ko Hawaii Pa'aina, the kingdom, because of your actions, Governor Josh Green has issued a letter to us and acknowledged and recognized the kingdom. And I wanted to go forward and let you guys three know. I also want to thank Brenton for having his doors open to me the years that you've been sitting in the office. And I want to ask you to continue on what you've been doing. I know it's hard, everybody. I know it's hard. But out of my heart, I want to thank you from a up position and down position. Moving on, Brenton Awa, the bills that you have set up forward for the things that you lost, I want you to continue on, please, for the foreigners' laws, for the housings and everything. I believe you folks are going to be able to also address the leaseholders for the homestead. The benefits needs to go to, you guys know where the benefits need to go, because right now it's a burden to the community. Also, there's other things like the military opening its roads for us so, we don't drown or whatever in the tsunami or the fire. I want to thank you for that. To continue on, I would love to say I love you, Mr. Lambert. Unfortunately, I congratulate you for your position and everything. Unfortunately, I'm still lacking on that portion where I need you to step your game up. 3 years ago, I did report some things in your office, like the meth lab. It hasn't been addressed. Another thing is, almost a year and a half ago, I also gave to your office about another game room that just popped up from when I moved away from a particular property. Those issues has not come out. Now, if I'm facing that, that means other people are facing that as well. Another thing is, Senator Samantha.
One question, but
One more
go
question.
ahead. Yeah.
Okay. There is a
property at St. John's Road where, not property, but a whole like housing that's empty, that it has city and county people in it, you know, some Hawaiians and so forth. The lease is being held by the state. Can you look into that because it's been empty and need renovation and whatnot? Because so then that way we can have our houseless move in there because it's been longer.
Okay.
Can you do that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can briefly answer, and then we'll move on.
Okay, that was a lot. So I think we all can take something home and then we'll work on that.
Perfect. All right, we're going to move on to a QR code question, and then we'll get right back to the microphone. Question for Director Sniffen. How can we assist with traffic eastbound from Sea Country to Nanakuli? The lights are not in sync, and it takes at least 45 minutes to get to school every morning from Sea Country to Nanakuli.
Yeah, so the lights are synced. The difficulty is we just have way too much volume for the capacity that we have. I mean, it's been that way for a while now. We've been upgrading the roads to make sure that the infrastructure works better than it did before. We're also upgrading all of the signals. Right now, we have dumb signals. You get two timings that you get in those signals. One base timing that gives equal time from the main line to the side streets. Second time is a peak timing that gives maximum time to the main line and minimum time to the side streets. That's it. So we're upgrading all of the signals throughout Oahu to ensure that all of them can have more than just those two base times. And we can control them all from the Joint Traffic Management Center. So we can give volume and capacity in different areas at different times throughout the day. That's the only thing we can do. Right now, the other additional piece that we're going to do for the eastbound portion is making sure that we get the fifth lane extended through from Helelua all the way to Hakimo to take the top off of the Leeward Coast in that area. Once we get that portion through, then that's going to require us to rebuild Ulehava Bridge too to get the fifth lane through that area. We feel like we can get most of the traffic through during the eastbound peak time. And also we can contraflow in on the westbound side in the afternoons. It'll give us more capacity in areas where we have land. The difficulty for the Leeward Coast right now, we just don't have the land for it. Beyond that point in that area, very difficult for us to expand any lanes throughout that area.
Mahalo, Director. To the microphone, Mr. Dix.
Hello, my name is Carl Dix. I ran for mayor 2 times, and I have a couple questions for the people of Wai'anae, quick ones they don't need to answer, and I bring solutions. How is the central government one mayor for all of Oahu efficient, and one city council for Oahu efficient in helping out Wai'anae? Wai'anae needs their own mayor, their own city council. Wai'anae can fix their own problems in their own community. Honolulu has their own problems and they can fix their own. Wahiawa, same thing. Oahu has grown so large, we need more mayors, more city councils, more local representation, because right now, nobody in this island is being represented efficiently. For the septic, easy solution, start transitioning away from failed infrastructure projects, huge infrastructure, individual incinerators in each individual home. Built into the design, individual is much easier to control than massive volumes of garbage, massive volumes of sewage. The big infrastructure programs and that idea has failed. We have new technology. It's time to move into the future. Local solutions, easier solutions. Big government-controlled infrastructure is a failed idea. I yield.
Thank you very much. Anyone want to take that?
Yeah, so how is it efficient? It's not efficient. I don't know what else to say about that. Yeah.
I know
agree.
the idea has been talked about before about having different counties, but that's the city council discussion. And so, but thanks for bringing it up. Okay, next QR code question. We're going to move to question number 2 that came in. Concerned about the amount of homeless that are allowed to live in our area. Being homeless is not a crime, but making a home on a public beach or park is a crime. We have beautiful beaches that can't even use because of all the homeless that are basically building homes on the beaches and are turning them onto dump yards, junkyards. The smell and the amount of feces and urine that are on our beaches is unacceptable, along with all of the drugs and increased crime coming into the area, especially finding of needles.
I'm going to answer that. I'm going to give it over to Director Lambert. I don't want to continue to be a broken record here, but it's obvious that we definitely have a problem down here, and it's very visible and it's very obvious because what's happening is here. It's been a perpetual tolerance that people are just not following the law. Is it illegal to be homeless? No, it's not. Is it illegal to camp without a permit? I don't know. These are the things that we need our county to look into. Okay, this is the part where the city has got to start cracking down. This is their property. They have jurisdiction of it. We're doing what we can on the state side. So if we see that people are infringing on our state property, on our state area, then yeah, you better believe we're going to crack down on that because we don't tolerate that in the state. So I don't want to speak for the county because they're not here, but what I will say is it's been a visible problem. I don't have to draw the picture over here. We have to crack down on that. And so I know that we have a mayor that's really behind making sure that our parks is available and our parks is free. But, you know, I don't want the community to stop blaring the alarm on this because you go into other communities, you don't see encampments like this. And I will tell you that it completely kills your morale when you have to stay stuck in traffic. Nothing personal, Ed. When you stay stuck in traffic for 2 hours and then you got to drive home and then you got to go past homeless encampments. Let's not forget that these encampments are close to public stores. They're close to schools. Kids are catching bus over there. Kupuna are catching bus over there. So let's not sugarcoat the situation. Here on the state side, I can only speak for myself, but we have every intention on cracking down on that to make sure that our public spaces are available because that's your guys' tax-paying money. That's my tax-paying money. And I don't want to take my kids to the beach. So what do community do? They start building pools. Do you know now there's more of permits that are being issued for pools on the Wai'anae Coast? Why is that? That's probably because they don't want to go to the beach. How come? I went to one cleanup and I found needles, there were rats, there were bed frames that were in the sand, 4 feet in the sand. So these are not people that are respecting Aina, right? These are not people that are keeping to themselves. These are people that are totally taking advantage. If you drive past, they have a full-on gym set up over there. There's a boxing bag, there's a punching bag, there's everything over there. So I don't want to soft step this situation. I want to make sure that it is very clear as far as where I stand. Every single intention to make sure that we feel freed up to go to our beach, to go to our parks, and then we don't have to worry about when our kid got to go bathroom, who's in the bathroom. So it's completely unacceptable as far as I can see, and we'll continue to take that stand. I'm going to give it over to Mike Lambert.
So same thing with most issues, right? The community is torn on that. So for me, I'll go to a community meeting, they'll say, clean it up. And we'll say, okay, great. Then I'll go on a campaign to tell everybody, we're going to clean out the beach. And then I go to another meeting where they say, why are you doing that? You're displacing all our ohana. So same thing with every issue here. You guys got to come to some level of agreement. And I always like to find balance. So what does that balance look like with our homeless community? 2-week warning period, strict enforcement following. So in other words, you got 2 weeks to figure it out, bring in all the outreach workers, offer them everything under the sun. And then after that, then it is what it is.
Mahalo, Director. Next question on the microphone.
Aloha, Kalei Saucedo. First of all, I'd like to thank this whole panel and our special guests. Because number one, people didn't think the voice was being heard. Let me tell you, we had gone to the city side, we fought. We was the voice of our Wai'anae side. Even at the Capitol for Duke's Law, we were the voice. And it shouldn't have only been certain people. It should have been a whole committee. Because I expected my 96792 from Kahena Point to Kai Point to be behind us. But there was only so little. That one break my heart. Okay? And we also got to remember, we got a new panel, a new representative, a new legislature. They've only been in office 7 months. They've been behind us. Okay, we can always demand and grumble to them about what about the homeless, what about this, what about that. When you have city issue, aiding and abetting the encampments on a beach, you call your councilwoman the way I do. Let's not just turn around and look at one side. Remember, we have streams from many vines, okay? But we got to remember, we all in it together. I feed my kupunas that cannot afford certain things. I give them eggs, I give them whatever they need. But it is our responsibility to take care of our kupunas. And if you're taking care of your mo'opunas and you don't know where they are on a school night, believe me, you better know where they are. Because with Duke's Law, you're going to be part of the problem now, keeping an eye on them. All I'm saying, do not divide. We had certain groups divided us, our own community. We're not here to be divided. We've been divided for years. We're here to unite and work with what's in the front of us.
Thank you.
But most of all, I found my smile. Because why? I'm doing a fight, not for myself, for my grandchildren and my children and generation to come. I want to make sure they're safe. So I love each and every special guest that came here because they didn't have to be here. But you know what? Please listen with your eyes and your heart. They came here. And you folks have to admit, never before, and be truthful to yourself, never before. You guys have the opportunity. Do not downgrade them. Give them the benefit of the doubt.
Mahalo.
I trust these guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. All right. We have 4 minutes left, so let's move on to the next microphone question.
Aloha, Terry sa Wai'anae. So I had an email from Mr. Fred Saunders. He couldn't make it due to health condition. So his concern is we need to be talking about parenting trends and how can we strengthen families to be more responsible for the actions of their children. Criminal behavior starts in a home. Lack of discipline, fatherless families, and a lack of respect for their family and others in the community. How can we strengthen the family to take more responsibility?
Mahalo for the question. Anyone on the panel?
Well, I mean, I think Director Lambert said it's best. We need to be parents, right? So be the parent and not the friend. And I think as long as we continue to get in there with our kids, check their phones, put restrictions. To be honest, if you have young kids, they shouldn't even have phones. But, you know, that's a parenting choice. But just get involved, get into their poi, get into their lives. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question on the microphone.
Aloha o wau ka puakili I koa ka mai. No ka aina ho o pula pula ka awawa Wai'anae mai au. He Hawaii au maua mau. I have many questions. Can you imagine a time where Hawaii isn't a missile target of foreign countries? Or when Hawaiian and international waters isn't used by foreign countries or our lands for war games or war training? Can you imagine Hawaii's people aren't used for sex trafficking? Or when our lands are prioritized for farming to feed our people, not just farming, but farming for our people. Or when Hawaii schools are prioritized over prisons when it comes to the funding, the kids. Can you imagine when Hawaii's reasonable prisoners become part of the labor force to help them reintegrate with the community that they came from? Can you imagine where our houseless become part of the solutions and labor force, not just considered as burdens that we move from place to place? Can you imagine when we decide how many planes and people land on our shores? Who can come here? Who can work here? And who can stay and live here? Or where our kupuna of all nationalities are respected, cared for, and continue to be resources for all of us. And where resources given to the United States federal government stays in Hawaii, here with us. Were the wrong committed on January 17th, 1893, the coup, or the celebrated fake statehood day of August 19th, 1959, when those wrongs are committed, where Hawaii becomes independent again and we control our fate and our future. Mahalo.
Mahalo, mahalo. Anyone want to take it? If not, we'll go to our last questioner on the panel. Ms. Medeiros, please proceed.
Hi, Sheila Medeiros. I'm with the Neighborhood Board, Makakilo, Kapolei, and Honokaihale. My question is actually for Haima. First of all, before I ask the question, thank you all for having this. This is actually warms my heart to just see how many people that are here to show up. And I've been to quite a few town halls, and I think this is the most I've seen. So it is a testament to how much this community 96792 really cares. So my question is for Haima. Our neighborhood board, we participated in the Kapolei Local Emergency Action Network exercise, or they exercised their battle drills for a tsunami. And that was last week, and that was in the Campbell Industrial. There wasn't a Haima rep, but I wanted to find out if you folks have an annual statewide exercise called Makani Pahili. Will you be leading the way to get subdivisions within our 96792, 96707 to prepare our subdivisions? Because what happened with the tsunami, it was mass chaos. So if we can start at the lowest level with subdivisions like Makakilo, they have different divisions. Kapolei, Wai'anae, they have different subsections. We start at the smallest level and train those subdivisions on an emergency preparedness. Are you at least planning on having some type of training statewide where you're going to the lowest level denominator?
Thank you for the question. I'm going to allow Haima to take that.
All right, thank you for the question, Don Abial, Executive Officer Haima. Yeah, just like Mike had said, it's a community effort for all of us. It's a KΑKOU effort, as our administrator said. We do have our HARP program that we are working with the communities, and majority of the neighborhood boards we've addressed, and we're trying to work with the Wai'anae Kapuna Council. Our community outreach lead, John Vieira, has been, and a lot of the folks here have worked with John recently, and kind of in the past as well. But now we're trying to move that forward. But remember, a lot of this is also a county thing too. The shelters, all that, the CERT teams, which are what you're talking about, preparation for or emergency preparedness for the community members. That training, train the trainer, is also part of the county efforts. And we're as a state, and our representatives and senators here in this zip code, they all understand that we're all trying to do that. It's a KAKOU effort. And I understand that, in the past that hasn't happened, but this is also a new administration as well. We did have a kind of a delay with the Lahaina wildfires, but we were working towards getting the HR program, which is our Hawaii Hazard Awareness and Resilience Program. So that program is to work with community members who identify themselves as being the leads or the leadership in order to help other community members. So it's forthcoming, and we're still working on it. We do, like, even with Ed, with a lot of his projects, and also with Mike helping us with other enforcement projects. We work with DHHL. We're trying to get a warehouse out here to get a West Oahu EOC, or Emergency Operations Center. And that's supposed to help that effort here out here. Yeah. Yes, and we appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I hope that answered your question.
Thank you very much for the answer. All right, guys. Thank you so much for.
Diamond, let me
there you
just
go.
let me
Rep
just
Moro.
piggyback on that real quick because of the tsunami that we just had, the threat. We are meeting with HAWAIIAN. My office has already reached out to HAWAIIAN. I have a meeting on Thursday with Civil Defense. We also met with a gentleman that owns his own private repeater. So should this thing happen again, we will have signal communication. We will be opening this up to the public. As you guys know, I have a monthly talk story session that we want to work. Like Sheila had said, that is the key thing we're working on. We cannot out here in Wai'anae on this coast, because of that one lane in and out, depend on people to come save us. There's a lot of families. We got the Landfords, we got the Ka'ainas, we got the Graces. We have people who have vast knowledge of our valleys and our areas that can come help quickly in time. The proof is in the Miley fire. You know, everybody likes to tell me how good of a job I did. The truth is, I didn't do it by myself. There was a lot of families that kicked in. I was just the face that people recognized. But we are working on this HAWAIIAN emergency plan based on not only the fire that happened in Miley, the Ka'anapali just got recently evacuated. People soon so quickly forget that. But also with just so much on our coast, we are working on that. We're going to welcome all of the community's involvement because Kupuna have vast knowledge. The young guys, they like jumping in foul, forget help. So without taking any more, we are working on that. We will be opening it up for
Mahalo, Representative. We truly appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for being here. Before we end this evening, we do want to hear from the panelists. So we're going to go and give closing statements at this time, about 30 seconds each. If you want to start with Director Sniffen, and then we'll work our way down.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you allowing me to come out and meet with you tonight. Also appreciate only had 3 questions on transportation, so I appreciate it. But you guys all know where to find me. So anytime you need anything, the boards all reach out, your representatives all reach out. Everybody knows where to find me, and we're always happy to help out with the coast. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you again. You know, it's always great when I come out here. I go literally all over the state now, and Wai'anae has like the best hospitality. You know, sometimes, even though you guys can scold me and say whatnot, at least you guys give me lays and musubi. So it's, you know, break even. Yeah, it's break even. So, you know, hopefully we can continue this, neighborhood boards, whatnot. Reach out through my office, and then I love to talk story, you know, big, small, no matter, I come out.
I want to thank the community and actually thank my colleague for the support and for the invitation to come out to Wai'anae. I'll tell you what, being able to come out here, like I said, when I got to Wai'anae, when I got to Nanakuli, it feels like the Big Island. So we're rural, we're away from the crowds, and I like being here. So I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Same, Senator DeCorte, great job putting this together. Really just wanted to support her for all the support that she gave the East Side and North Shore in her time. And nice to see all of what you're doing out here, and all of you actually. You know, it's nice to come to a meeting where there's so many like local brown people. So, and I appreciate all you guys staying because it was a long drive. So, you know, shows that you guys want to do this. Thank you.
Hey, let's give it another round of applause for the panel speakers. The Wai'anae Coast is always so blessed when we have people that come in person. We know that it's a sacrifice coming out here. We know that you're going to spend time in traffic. We know that you're taking time away from your family. So, with these leaders up here, as well as the leaders that are in the front row here that I've asked to come and they have made time to be here. Wai'anae is unique in its sense that, again, we're not just waiting for the state to come and rescue us. We have our solutions as well. And so that's what makes us so unique. But what I will say with the panel that's here and those that have come in representation of their organizations, we are committed to the residents of the Wai'anae Coast. People on here on this panel are here because not only do they care about the Wai'anae Coast, but they're actively advocating for us, whether that be with transportation, crime, with agriculture, with helping me, helping you. So yeah. I mean, it really is a KＡKOU thing. I want to give a round of applause for Representative Diamond Garcia, please. He's Wai'anae boy. And also there are a few thank yous, so please indulge me a little bit. Don't fall asleep just yet. I can see some of you nodding off. I'm like, what? I just fed you too much. That's why I don't got food next time. Next time, no food. You guys falling asleep. But I really want to shout out, a few people. Number one, El Payo. They're the ones who had brought some of the gift bags for our special guests. So thank you very much. Kate's Craves that also provided the food. The Salcedos who also provided food as well. And just the community, my staff. We've got Malia Augustin, who Nanakuli resident. We have Nia Tatofi, who has just been the backbone of my office. There's no way I could do what I do without them and without being in the front of me and in the back of me. So can we give them a round of applause too, please? Because they don't just answer phones. They're my therapists, they're my counselor, they're my prayer warriors, they're everything. So I'm just so blessed to be able to have them. With that being said, I want us to be able to close here tonight that the discussions that were here, whether you had your questions answered or not, it doesn't just stay there. We move on with our lives and go on with the regular day. We're taking everything that everybody says. So if you didn't get a chance to put your information into the QR code, please do. If you felt like there was a question that you wanted to answer, you didn't have time, please put it there. I want to make sure that when people leave this room, they feel satisfied in the response that they got, even though it could be something as we'll get back to you. Because right now we are in a season that we are not just working with what you see on social media or what you hear on the news, but there's a lot of sacrifice that comes with this position. But this is what we sign up for. And this is what we're proud to do. We're proud to represent the Wai'anae Coast. So I want to just really encourage my community that this really is because of you, people up here and people that have come to represent for the state are also here committed to our community. So I definitely want to leave with that. Is Pastor Jadine here? I think as she's coming, Pastor Jadine? All right. Okay. Well, if you don't mind, I'm a woman of faith, so I would like to close us in prayer. So right now, if I could ask everybody, if you could close your eyes and bow your heads. Father, we just come before you in the name of Jesus. And Lord, we thank you that you're such a good God. Father, your word says that unity is a commanded blessing. So I thank you that the 96792 is unified, Father God, from Nanakuli all the way to Makua, Lord Jesus. I pray, Lord, that you are the one that are bringing the solutions here. Speak to our leaders, speak to our kupunas, speak to our keiki, speak to our parents. Help us to develop a sense, Father God, of solutions, Lord Jesus, that we, Lord, feel compelled and empowered, Lord Jesus, that we're not just being victims of, Father God, we are coming from a place of victory. So, Lord, I just thank you for our panel here and for the people that have come, Lord, that have driven from out of Wai'anae and even have flown in to the state just to be here. We pray that your strength will be multiplied, your wisdom will be multiplied. But, Lord, I'm looking forward to, Father God, what you are doing here on the Wai'anae Coast, but because you truly are the solution to what Wai'anae needs. So, Lord, we thank you for this time. We seal it with the blood of Jesus. We give you all the praise and all the honor. And everybody in agreement say, Amen. Amen. Thank you all. God bless you all and have a good night. Aloha.